Hi everyone, it is Ahtiya here at Booking It with Ahtiya, and today we are getting into my TBR pile of possibilities hopefuls list for round two of the Read Your Library Readathon, which is hosted by yours truly. And so, a quick description of RYL, which is what I call it for short, because Read Your Library Readathon is a bit of a mouthful. So basically, this readathon is focused on reading down our library books, whether that be physical library books or digital library books, like from Hoopla, Libby, or Overdrive. And it's fun. Well, I think it's fun. I'm really excited. I've restructured it a little bit. I will have the announcement video down below, as well as probably like some other little details for you to check out if you're interested in joining us during the month of April. So, how I'm playing in round two is going to be doing hard mode. So hard mode is completing the challenge card and then getting a blackout bingo board. I have 19 books on this list. I usually read anywhere between 20 and 30 books. I think this is pretty doable. All of my books, as usual, fulfill the prompt on the bingo board of BIPOC voices. So you can also use my hopefuls list as like a recommendation video as well. I am going to do a formal recommendation video for RYL of books that I have read and would recommend. But if you're just, looking for some inspiration before that video comes out, then you can also just use this video. So there's definitely going to be some overlap. There are definitely some books on here that can fulfill more than the prompts I put them down for. And I've allowed just a little bit of wiggle room for some mood reading as well. And if it can count for another prompt, I think I have noted that in my notes. And we're going to jump right in. Well, actually, we're not going to jump right in. If you are interested in getting yourself some merch or some bookmarks, make sure to check out my Bonfire, my Etsy shop. And if you'd like to support the channel on a monthly basis, you might want to consider becoming a channel member or a Patreon member. Now we're going to jump right in. The first book we're going to be talking about is The Chinaberry Tree by Jessie Redmond Fawcett. This book is one that I've been wanting to read, as is a lot of books on this list, and it is actually a Black American classic. I know that it follows two sisters, and I want to say it takes place during Reconstruction era in America, but I'm not sure. I know that's supposed to be like super messy and everything, and it keeps coming back around, and it's time for me to finally read it. The Chinaberry Tree is going to fulfill the category of reference desk on the challenge card, specifically the prompt of a library classic, and it also fulfills all of them do, but I'm going to be using it for the bingo board prompt of BIPOC voices. The second book on my TBR is going to be This Book Won't Burn by Samira Ahmed. Another one where I kept putting it off and renewing it. So it keeps coming back. It is a YA contemporary that deals with book banning and censorship in a high school. I believe the protagonist is new to the school, and she comes across some instances of book banning and the censorship of literature. And This Book Won't Burn, I'm using for the challenge card, the category of the stack, specifically the prompt of book about books, as well as the bingo board prompt of repeat author, because I have read Internment by this author and I absolutely loved it. So this is an author that I've been wanting to return to. The third book on my TBR is Dear Wendy by Anne Zhao. Another one I've been wanting to read for months. It is a sapphic YA romance with two aromantic and asexual college students. It's an enemies to lovers because they have somehow created this online feud. I think they both run a relationship advice column online, and they have become pseudo rivals, but in real life, unbeknownst to them, they are becoming friends, and they don't know that they are each other's rivals. I'm looking forward to it. This one I'm going to be putting down for the challenge card as well. This one is going to be fulfilling the circulation desk category, specifically the prompt of final checkout, which is to read a book that you keep renewing, or you like returned it and then took it out without reading it or finishing it. And then as well as the bingo board prompts of debut novel and character name in the title. Book number 4 is Rally Man and the Company of Monsters by Shannon Smart. This one is a middle grade fantasy about the son of the bogeyman who must then find his missing father because for some reason the bogeyman has gone missing. And I'm using this one for the challenge card as well to round out those 4 books, specifically the children and teens category, the prompt of The Trenches, which is to read a middle grade book. And this also fulfills the bingo board prompt of series starter because this is the first book in a middle grade fantasy series. And if I wanted to, I could also count it as set in another country because it takes place in London. The 5th book is actually another middle grade fantasy, and it is A Rage of Lions by David Anthony Durham. This is the 3rd book in the Shadow Prince series. I recently read the 2nd book in February, and so I'm looking forward to continuing in the series. I'm really enjoying it. It takes place in Egypt, and it features Egyptian mythology. This one is going to be used to fulfill the bingo board prompt of set in another country, and it could also fulfill the prompt of retelling or mythology slash folklore, as well as part of a series because it is the 3rd book in a series. Book number 6 on my TBR is Death of an Ex. This is a crime fiction book that follows a private eye, Vandy Myrick, and this is the 2nd book in the Vandy Myrick mystery series. And Vandy is tasked with sorting out what actually happened to her ex-husband, who is somehow found dead, and there are mysterious circumstances surrounding his death. So she is looking into that, and I will be using Death of an Ex to fulfill the bingo board prompt of part of a series. Next up, we have Space Chasers by Leland Marvin. This follows, it's a middle grade science fiction graphic novel, and it follows a team of brilliant kids turned astronauts who are in space and they encounter some trouble that is going to prevent them from getting home. And so they need to figure that out. It is actually the first in a series, and it was created by a real life astronaut, Leland Melvin, and I will be using Space Chasers for the bingo board prompts of graphic novel and genre jump because sci-fi is a genre that I've been steadily over the years trying to read more of. This can also count as series starter because it is first in a series. It can count as part of a series because again, it starts a series, and also location and title because space is a location. The 8th book on the list is It Lurks in the Night by Sarah Doss. This one is a YA supernatural thriller. A group of 4 girls take a like besties vacation trip to one of the islands around their Caribbean home, and they have to make an emergency stop on an island that both locals and tourists avoid because of, I don't want to say they're rumors, but just local legend, if you will. And one of the girls ends up dead, and they have to leave her dead body behind. Of course, they return, and everybody's like, what happened? But then a week later, that same dead girl pops up back well and okay and is like, yeah, I'm totally fine. And the lead girl or the protagonist that we're following is like, okay, something's off. Something's really definitely off. And I really enjoyed this author's debut, and so I'm very much looking forward to It Lurks in the Night, which I will be using for the bingo board prompt of new release. The 9th book on the list is another middle grade fantasy, and this one is The Shadow Crosser by J.C. Cervantes. This is the 3rd book in the middle grade fantasy series, The Storm Runner, and it is based in Mayan mythology. And I'll be using this to fulfill the prompt on the bingo board of retelling or mythology slash folklore. This is another one that could count as part of a series or repeat author. Book number 10 is The Meet Cute Project by Rhiannon Richardson. This is a hijinks filled rom-com about a girl willing to do whatever it takes to get a date to her sister's upcoming wedding. And I'm going to be using this one for the bingo board prompts of cover art because I think the cover is just absolutely gorgeous. It's so cute. And when I initially found out about the book, I was so drawn to the vibrancy of the cover. And I'll also be using it for the bingo board prompt of new to you author. Book number 11 is another YA rom-com, and that is Call Your Boyfriend by Ashley Woodfolk and Olivia A. Cole. This is a YA sapphic rom-com about 2 teens who want revenge on the flaky, popular girl they're both crushing on, and I'll be using this one for the bingo board prompt of favorite color on the cover. Book number 12 is a bit of a thick one, and that is 6-4 by Hideo Yokohama. This one follows a police detective turned department press officer, and he is forced to revisit a cold case that was essentially a botched investigation about a girl who was kidnapped 14 years ago, as he's also grappling with the fact that his daughter has now disappeared. And I'll be using this one for the bingo board prompts of Big Book, which is to read a book that is 450 pages or more, and 6'4" is 576 pages, as well as the bingo board prompt of translated work. Next up, book number 13 is a nonfiction, and that is Kindred Creation, Parables and Paradigms for Freedom by Ida Mariam Davis. This one is a call and response to dream and design better worlds rooted in African life ways. It's a path to Black freedom, a love letter to Black futures, and a blueprint to the intergenerational Black joy and dignity. And I'll be using this one for the bingo board prompt of under 250 pages, as it is 224 pages. Book number 14 is a historical romance, and that is A Duke, the Lady, and a Baby by Vanessa Riley. This is a historical Regency era romance. We follow a headstrong West Indian heiress, Patience, who has lost everything: her newborn son, Lionel, her fortune, and her freedom, when she questions the mysterious circumstances surrounding her husband's suicide. And she's falsely imprisoned, but somehow ends up, somehow she, I guess, takes on a different identity, and she ends up working as the nanny to her own son in her home, to the new Duke of Reppington, and that is Busick. And he is now the guardian of Lionel, because Lionel was the son of a Duke, or is the son of a Duke. He's a new guardian, and he's trying to resolve his dead cousin's money issues. And so I guess they're going to, as they fall in love, figure out what actually happened to her late husband. And I'll be using this one for the bingo board prompt of 7-word title. Book number 15 is The Witches of El Paso by Luis Jaramillo. This one is an intergenerational magical realism tale about inheritance of power between mothers and daughters. And we follow a lawyer and her elderly great aunt as they use supernatural gifts to find a lost child. And I'll be using this one for the bingo board prompt of location in title. Book number 16 is Las Beauty Queens by Ivan Mona Lisa Ojeda. This is actually a short story collection from Chilean transgender performer and author Ivan Mona Lisa Ojeda. And it's a love song to NYC from the perspective of a group of trans Latinx immigrant friends as they walk the streets, smoke crystal meth, compete in beauty contests, look for clients in their impossibly high heels, and fall prey to increasingly cruel immigration policies. And I'll be using Las Beauty Queens for the bingo board prompts of banned book and award worthy. Then we have another historical romance, and that is Vivid by Beverly Jenkins. This, like I said, historical romance is set in 1876, and it follows Vivica Lancaster. She is a female physician, and she accepts an offer to set up a practice in a small all-Black community of Grayson Grove, Michigan. And she comes in contact to the bullheaded mayor, because when he sent for a physician and she replied back with her name, Dr. V. Lancaster, he thought it was going to be a man. She shows up, she's very much not a man, and he's like, I'm going to need you to get back on that train and go back where you came from, because women cannot be doctors. And she's like, says who? And that's going to be how they start their love story. And I'm using Vivid for the bingo board prompt of 1-word title. Book number 18 is Boy 2.0 by Tracy Baptiste. This is a middle grade sci-fi following a foster kid, Cole, who has a gun pointed on him while doing street art. And in that moment, he suddenly turns invisible without trying to, and he is trying to figure out what are his powers, how do they come about. There's also a lot of found family with the other foster kids in the home that he's staying in, and soon more dangerous powers begin looking for this Black boy with superpowers. And I'll be using Boy 2.0 for the bingo board prompt of number and title. Then book number 19, the final book on this TBR, is I Say a Little Prayer by E. Lynn Harris. And this one follows Chauncey. He is a newly welcomed church singer, and he's asked to perform at the church's upcoming revival, until he finds out that the pastor of this church is going to be using the revival to speak against gay people, gay rights, gay marriage. And Chauncey, as a queer Black man himself, is like, I can't, no. So him and the other gay members of the church decide to organize a protest, essentially a day of absence, where all of the queer people in the church, as well as their family and friends, are like, we're not going to show up to church. And as he's doing this, as the protest is, coming about, his childhood lover or childhood crush, I don't know, were they lovers? I guess they were. His childhood lover D pops back up, and so it's a little bit of a romance going to be happening there as well. And I'll be using I Say a Little Prayer for the bingo board prompt of Queer Rep. And that is it. Those are the 19 books on my hopefuls list, my TBR. I'm looking forward to diving in these. Some of these have been on my TBR for a very long time, so it's about time. It is definitely about time. So make sure to check out the announcement video down below. If you are new to Reach Your Library Readathon, you're like, what is it? What are the different options and modes? The announcement video is down below, as well as the sprint trolley of the playlist. You can just hop on that at the start of April, and you will never miss a sprint because we will be sprinting throughout the month, as well as the playlist that has the announcement, as well as the TBRs from all of the co-hosts. And I think that's about it. Let me know, have you read any of the books on my TBR? Are any of them on your TBR? Did you see any of these 19 and you were like, yes, I need to add that to my TBR for RYL? Let me know. And also let me know if you are participating, which mode you'll be playing in, and I will see you in another video. Bye.
Weakness showing, I ain't living for the moment. I see what's mine and I want it. Hungry like a Pac-Man. I'm Bruce Wayne and Batman. I'm Naruto with a Hanzo. Got a sharp mind like I'm Einstein. Plus I'm copywriting, so it's all mine. Check it for me, I'm